I always have a problem with the backdrop. I'm crying.
Oh boy, hey,
don't worry, Brother Thomas. I'm the same way. I'm trying to figure this out too.
All right, thank you.
Hey, what? Hey, good night. Hey, for a minute there, I was like, "What Umar Johnson doing in our video tonight?" But Travis, you over there looking like Umar Johnson from a distance. Hell no, I know we gonna have a show tonight now, and then I see that guy looking like Umar Johnson in the background. I was like, what Umar Johnson doing on our live show, man? Get a guy. Hey, well, I won't get him out of here, but I'm surprised he would come on here. Because maybe he should be able to come on here because he got those kind of things popping in his life. He might need to, talk a little bit about fatherhood. All right, good night, everybody. Welcome to Fatherhood Talks. This is the Fatherhood Think Tank where we gather around as men and fathers to, kind of talk about topics and subjects that affect us as men, as fathers, and our whole community as we try to lead our families. I'm Ron Osborne Williams. Tonight's topic is "You're Not My Daddy." You're not my daddy. And I'll tell you.
Oh, I'm ready for this one.
I'll tell you very clearly, this can be interpreted in many different ways. It can also be looked at in quite a few ways. But one thing I'm going to do before we start, as after everybody does their introductions tonight, I want to show a video of something that's going on right now that's viral. And I mean, I want us to look at it because it's going to go a little bit with the topic. But this is what I sometimes talk about when I say this is extremism about fatherhood, non-consensual fatherhood, and kind of things that's said and done. But before we go, let's go ahead and find out who's in the room tonight. Guys, introduce themselves, and then let's get into this conversation. But this is what
I'm gonna go first because I'm still trying to figure this thing out. My name is Travis. I have 6 kids. Actually, my eighth year anniversary with my wife just came up a couple of days ago. Matter of fact, it was yesterday. I work so much I forget the days. It was yesterday. 18, 16, all the way through 18, 16, all the way through 10.
Okay.
All right, good afternoon, gentlemen, or good evening, gentlemen. My name is Lanny Lightborn. I'm father to a tribe of 7. 4 young men, 3 young women, and 1 granddaughter. So it's always a pleasure to be here.
Good evening, everyone. Thomas Alberry. I have a son and a daughter. Both kids are married, and between the two of them, there are 2 boys and 5 girls. Hey, everyone. Thomas
Okay.
Happy to be here. Remembering there's no hood like fatherhood.
All right.
President Adams, father 3, and 1 grandson.
Okay. You sound like you with one of the grandsons right now. All right. Who else? Jay. Oh, there go Jay. Go ahead. Go.
Justin Gibbs, a father of, let me see. I got 1 boy, 4 girls, and I have another boy on the way right now. So I have 5 and 1 on the way.
Okay. That's what's
Trying to
up.
catch up to me?
Either you or Nick Cannon, one of the two.
You and Nick Cannon. You guys are pretty funny. We got some dads we got some more dads that's just loading in. Let's see, we got another dad introducing himself and their children.
Good evening, bros.
Good evening. Hey, you want to introduce yourself?
Adrian Lee.
Okay. How many kids you have, Adrian?
I have 2 boys, 32 and 29.
All right, great, welcome. And I see Larry Jordan there in the bottom. He might be in the kitchen though. I know how he can be in the kitchen sometimes. Well, we'll catch him on. Well, let me go ahead and let me do this. Let me show this video first. I wanted to be able to show it and get your first reaction of this video. Get your first reaction of it. And from
Good
that,
evening, everyone.
go ahead, Larry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wanted to say good evening to everyone. Larry Jordan, father 2, grandfather 1. I'll be listening in the background. I'm at the hospital now visiting one of my very good friends right now. So
Okay.
I'll be listening.
All right. And then I think we just had Rohan come in. Rohan, you want to introduce yourself? And then I'm going to show this video, and then we'll come back from the video.
Yes. Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Rohan Rodok. I'm a father of 2 young daughters. And to be honest, I could say I'm a father of most children, because as a mentor and advocate, if you come near me, I will give you advice that is positive to help you grow. So I would say a father for every child, more or less. So, and that's our goal. So again, I'm grateful to be amongst you guys, and I'm thankful to learn from you guys too.
So fathers, I'm going to play this. I'm going to play the whole thing. This comes from a man, Trick Daddy Dollars. He has like a little website where he gives some news of go and tell. I think it's called Go Tell This, Go Tell This, or something of that nature. But we're going to use this video, for information purposes to what we're talking about. But I do want to acknowledge that this came from Trick Daddy Dollars site on Facebook. And so I want you to listen very closely to this report. Listen, hear what the brothers say, because it has a lot to do with our topic tonight and how we kind of have a little conversation about it. Okay, so let me get that plan. Hold on, I see right now what the problem is. You're not hearing anything, right?
Right.
Yeah, you gotta remember, man, you gotta say share sound. I was so ready for you to hear this video that I wasn't even thinking about that.
A man with the TikTok handle @HouseOfHypocrite took to social media to express his opinion on how it's the responsibility of magnates to care for their child without his help, because he told all 7 of each child's mom he did not want to go through with the pregnancy. Let's watch.
I got 7 kids and 7 baby mamas. Now, for the past few days, I've been going live, telling my story, speaking my truth, and a lot of women having an issue calling me a deadbeat, because I tell them I was being irresponsible, yet not wearing protection. But I always these women that I got pregnant that I do not want to be a father to these children. And I offer to pay for the majority of times they'll either take the abortion or they'll take a plan B. But only these 7 have kept these children. But the crazy thing about it is they want me to be responsible for some children I told them I did not want. So for some years now, some of them been trying to get in contact with me, access denied. Cause I don't really know why you trying to get in contact with me. I done told you I did not want them kids. So don't expect me to be responsible financially, emotional, spiritually, mentally, or physically with some kids I do not want. And I don't give a what nobody think about it. You're not gonna force children up on me. Yeah, we both made the decision to lay down and have intercourse. We both was irresponsible about the decisions we made that night. Yeah, I could have pulled out, but I didn't. And I ain't care to pull out because I'm not the one that gonna have to carry a baby for 9 months. It's the woman. In my opinion, women should be more careful on who they sleep with. Because you're gonna be like, one of my baby mamas trying to find me so I can financially support a kid I done told her or them I did not want. Another thing is, these just jump offs. These are the type of women that I ain't even had to do nothing for. The bare minimum, but they gave me access to their body and they think I want to be a father to a child for one of them? Wait, I don't even have no type of love for these women. How do they expect me to love these children? Before y'all say, oh, he irresponsible, he a deadbeat, he don't take accountability. Yeah, I do. I just don't give a You ain't gonna force these children on me when I told you I ain't want them. Yeah, I can offer to pay for but at what point can I force a woman to go get a I cannot. A woman say, my body, my choice, but I say, it's my life, my choice. Before y'all try to stitch this shit and be like, black men this, black men that, I don't give a I really don't.
One user wrote, well, they just found you, bruh. If they jump off, so why not protect yourself, my G? And he responded, fam, you gotta match a face with a name and then an address and then income. More women in the comments. When you catch something you can't get rid of, it ain't their problem either. He responded, thank God they got clinics I go to keep up with my health. Someone commented, why not a vasectomy? Or wear a condom. Did you tell her before that you won't be a father? Hold me accountable. And he did not even know what it meant. Here was his response.
I honestly just learned what a vasectomy was 3 days ago when I started speaking on this shit. But when I figure out what that is, I'm not doing that shit. Then they asking why not wear a condom? I have worn protection a lot of times. These are just the instance when I have not. And unfortunately, it has resulted into the woman being pregnant. But ask yourself, and ask your friends as a woman, when is the last time that you told a man to put on a condom? Because I have never in my 27 years heard a woman request me to put a condom on. And me being an irresponsible man, knowing that that shit feel better raw, if I'm not gonna put a condom on, and if she not gonna ask me, it would not be no condom. And another thing, y'all keep saying, I don't think he's telling these women he's not going to be a father after he have sex and accidentally get them pregnant. Do that shit even matter? Do I have to tell a woman to be responsible for her body? Do I have to tell a woman to wait for a man to commit to her before she have unprotected sex with him? Or do I have to tell a woman wait till marriage before she gives a man access to her body? It used to be a point of time where women actually value their innocence, actually value their virginity. But we do not live in that day-to-day, do we? Y'all want me to respect a woman's body more than she respected herself. So I, as a man, can prevent her from getting pregnant. Whatever a woman gonna allow me to do, I'm gonna do. Don't expect me to be irresponsible. Because if we both irresponsible, who's responsible for carrying the child for 9 months? It sure ain't no goddamn man. It sure ain't me. I don't got no remorse. I don't feel bad. That woman knew what she was doing when she laid down and slept with me. She knew the consequences. She knew the risk. And don't be trying to be like, oh, it's women with low self-esteem. It's women that's ghetto or ratchet, or it's hood women. My 7 baby mamas. And I don't even know why I claim them, just because it became a conversation. But some of them rich, some of them poor, some of them classy, some of them ratchet. Some got regular ass jobs, Some got great jobs. So it's a woman on all levels that with a like me. And don't even try to speak on morals and respect, because we don't have the same definition of morals and respect. Stop trying to tell people they gotta hold me accountable or people like me accountable. The only person that can hold me accountable is my yourself. Stop expecting men or women to come talk to me. I'm a grown-ass man. I ain't gonna listen to shit you gotta say. And trust me, y'all think women gonna hear me talk and then stay away from me. They still gonna get this 8.5, trust me. So I do not feel bad. I'm the most honest individual you'll be. I do not have to manipulate no woman for no trust me.
Do you think women should be more careful of who they sleep with? Or are the responsibilities of consenting adults mutual when a child is conceived? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
That's real, man.
First one, I'm sorry, I didn't see that whole video. Can you just send that link to me? I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
I had family comment. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll send it. I'll put it in the chat. Yo, listen, that is the extreme of what I would feel as someone. But and a strange aspect of it, it is where you're going to start seeing a lot of people maybe try to push to. See, especially when the people try to do a lot of this copycat business. Now, I don't know if he said it here, and did he hear? He said that, these ain't his only 7 baby mom. He said the other ones, he told them to have an abortion, take the morning after pill and these things. And these were the ones who decided not to do so because he just wanted to, and you just think about this. He just wanted to have sex with them and he didn't want no baby with them, but they had other choices, plans. And it brings me to our topic tonight. You're not my daddy, because this is to me, one of the first "you not my daddy" kind of things that can occur. Because I always believe that you might not want those kids today, but later in life, I feel you need them. Not that you need them to take care of you, not that you need them, that you're an old man, I think you just need them for your legacy, for the continuation of who you are, and yes, and it's hard, man. It's hard. It's hard. Let me tell you what makes this hard for me. Because I'm a true advocate for this idea of non-consensual fatherhood, that you have a choice, whatever. But I also think you have to take some role of responsibility as a man, right? And that role of responsibility is, you're talking about 7 kids who don't know their siblings. And they don't have a leader. The one person who can lead all of those 7 kids is you. You might not can lead their mamas. They probably don't got nothing. They probably got you, the Antichrist they were. But without a doubt, you can lead those children because they're gonna be looking for that male figure to be that person. And I just thought about how tough it is that the society we live in today, we record so many things and put so many things on record that is permanent. That's forever. I mean, we're doing this right here, and it's permanent, and it's forever. And we have a lot of positive things that we say that come out of it, and people can maybe learn from it later and watch it and rewind. But I just thought about the things he said in this whole live TikTok video he had. And this is just some of it because, this is what Trick Daddy broke down. But when you start thinking of all the things he said, and those kids have to watch that, and what that does to their self-worth and who they are, and understanding that, it hurts me. It hurts my heart. Because again, remember, I'm an advocate for non-consensual fatherhood. I believe that fathers have a right not to be the father they don't want to, but you also, in a point of that, I also know these children didn't choose this. And if you're going to be a man, you need to be a man and say, I'm going to handle this in a man's way. To me, that's not a man's way to handle what he said. And some of that's, but I respect his truth, but I think that you have to think beyond yourself. And I think that might be one of the dilemmas. when we choose not to be a father, we have not made the choice to make those kind of sacrifices. And so now you get this kind of thing where it troubles me. I'm on a hard fence for that. You know, I'm hearing what he's saying, and I've got my fists on one side, and then I got my finger up on the other side. So it's two sides. I know you guys got some things want to jump in there already. I know I want to hear a couple of reflections as we're talking about this idea. You're not my daddy.
Well, Ron, that guy sound like the new mascot of the poster boy for child support. You understand? So when we see when we questioning the motives of child support and how public assistance just kept us out of the family, blah blah blah, I say all you gotta do is play this guy video, Exhibit A, and he is definitely Exhibit A. He's talking about what about Plan B. I'm like, no, you Exhibit A. You understand? You're the reason. You're the very point of reference. You're the science of why child support exists. That kind of ignorance and irrationality, I'm like, I'm not trying to make sense out of that. That man is intentionally ignorant. And he said that, I think even the Bible says a fool to go and to be punished. And so when you talked about, I think you, in one of our previous episodes, you talked about a guy was on child support and he couldn't get up. I think he couldn't dig himself out of that hole so long for the fact that it took him, and he had done got sick, and his kids was adults by then, and they had to take him back to court to request that the child support been lifted. You understand? And in his defense, maybe because he was merciful and he tried his best. But in this guy's defense, you understand, by the time child support finished ringing him, and he can never dig himself out of that hole, because see, he looks like he might be late 20s, early 30s. If he's 40,
I think about 20. I think he got to be in. Listen, this guy's in his either 20, 27, 28, 29.
Right.
Okay. And that's what I'm getting at. So, I think somebody best said you get what you paid for. I don't, and again, he is the poster boy for child support. So when we say about, and I was on child support and I'm pro child support. People don't understand. I'm like, this is the perfect topic for me, because I was on child support, right? And I'm pro child support. But the reason I'm pro child support, not because the father I was, is because I got the experience. I became pro child support when I became a stepfather. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
That's what made me pro child support. When I was just a biological father, I was anti child support. When I became a stepfather, that's when I became pro child support, because I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, hey, I was trying to take my narrative and make it everybody else's narrative. And so the work that I was putting in, I was just assuming every father in the world was putting in, because I believed every father would love their child like I love my child. Unfortunately, that narrative is not true. And just like we can't blanket people with the negative, we shouldn't try to blanket them with the positive either. This guy just showed you. That's Exhibit A. And so, yes, he should be the poster boy for child support. He should be the mascot for child support. I wouldn't feel in no way, shape, or form about it. He couldn't show up to one of those male empowerment groups and say, you know what, this and that, because that's the kind of guys that shows up to the male empowerment group and says these kind of narrative or try to benefit from the narrative that the system is keeping them down.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Child support is keeping them down. They keep you out of the place. The man just said, I ain't never really had no intention of providing a place for the women and on the children. And so he bring a narrative to so many guys. You understand? And we talking about the good guys, but I'm like, no, it's too often the good guys are trying to cover the bad too. You understand? Right. But I'm like, no, just like we can get, if you can understand your congratulations, let people get their consequences. You can't stop trying to reward people for something they didn't earn. And that's what my fault was. And so I have to really apologize for saying, you know what, I can't go ahead and write a referral for somebody who just didn't deserve it. And he's just one of those guys that's just the reason child support exists in the first place. He won't be the first, and damn sure won't be the last. But you had guys that just never really verbalized it. He just verbalized with a history, you know what I'm saying, of men who wouldn't have taken care of their child, who don't take care of their children, or had no intention of taking care of their children, but will continue to make children. You know what I'm saying? You got like, hold on. You said 7 times.
He is the living being of a deadbeat dad, what we would consider that. When we hear people call people deadbeat dads, you know what I'm saying, that's a derogatory thing. But in his own admission, he is describing himself as a dad. Because if this happened
know
one
what?
time, if this happened,
Give me I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, man, because I'm hearing what y'all saying, and let me watch the video and then I'm gonna come back to y'all.
yeah,
I just want to say that because I just
okay, if this was one incident, maybe two, right? You're talking about two different baby mamas, right? But we're talking about 7. Now, remind you, this is the 7 that made the decision not to have the abortion or take the plan B. And this ain't the first time sex had with them. You understand? So we talking about you can't hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. I can hear.
I see you holding your ears.
We hear you.
Oh, if you just take the, if you just
You must have froze, Ron.
what happened?
You must have froze.
Want to hear your words. We
Oh.
hear you. Go ahead.
If you just take estimate numbers, you know, I say this all the time when people say, "Oh, a person got pregnant on the first time." That happens. That happens a lot. But in many instances, when these guys at these certain ages, it don't happen the first time. Trust me, they've been working on this thing for a minute. This was just they've been working. It ain't once or twice. They're a good 5 sessions in when they're having these babies and when they're doing these things. Because very often when they're meeting the young ladies and getting involved with them, most of the time they're not breaking up with these young ladies until sometimes it comes to this abortion situation. So let's talk about that number game that they're talking about. So it's not until the abortion thing that they breaking up that they going to get some more. And that disturbs, and that puts me into our topic that I can imagine these kids seeing this and saying, "You're not my daddy."
Okay, Ron, gentlemen, if you listen to that video, there are many ways you could view it. The first thing, I like to talk numbers. He says he has 7 kids, which is not really proven, that there's no DNA done to show that it's his child. That's also how I look at things. So I'm looking at an angle. And gentlemen, keep in mind, let me go there. You got 2 wrongs don't make a right. And you got to look at this too. Maybe that female says, guess what? This guy here is a player. All I want from him is a baby. You have some females who do that. They'll say, all I want from him is a baby, and I'm good. Because we're seeing a culture where single moms, especially in Florida, are raising their kids with no dads around. I need a kid to put some doll in her hair, make her look cute, put her in the car beside me, and have a baby. I don't really want him. I just want a baby. So I wanted to look at the other side of the coin, because 7 kids, that's what he says, and maybe more. But I'm in my 40s, and I have 1 female told me to put a condom on in all my life since I've been on this earth. So when he mentioned that, I totally agree with him. I've always have to be pulling out and use my condoms. And guess what? They got female condoms. Did you guys know that? They have female condoms. A woman can use a female condom. So there are many, you have to look at many different sides here. I've talked to 1 female and she said to me, all I need from a man is a what? I need a baby or money. And she said, well, I got the babies already. All I need from a man now is money. I need nothing else. You guys gotta look at what's going on in the society and the mindset. He said they may be low self-esteem. No, she may be high self-esteem. It's actually the opposite. She may have fibroids, and she says, guess what? The doc says to her, you got fibroids. If you're gonna have a baby, hurry up and get a baby right now. So she goes on the list in her phone and says, okay, which dude can I trick here now? Which dude can I trick to give me a baby? Well, this one I can't trick him because he always wear a condom. And then she goes to this one. Oh, this one here. Oh yeah. I know this one here. I'll wait until I'm ready. What the word they use? Till I'm ripe. I'm going to use that for a term.
It's called ovulate.
I'm going to wait till I ovulate. He's going to come over. And then when he come over, he's going to try to get some, right? And then, you know what? Guess what? Here's the deal now. So he says, man, I can't do it bareback. Then she says, well, if you don't do it bareback, you ain't getting any. So he says, screw it. I'm here already. Let it roll. So people play games, and unfortunately, children are born out of these games. And when the children are born out of these games, we have the same issue that we're talking about tonight, where fathers don't take care of the child because I came over for some fun. I didn't came for no baby. Yeah, and we talk about this back and forth. And you know what? We'll only hope that if a stepfather comes into play, someone comes into play can help mentor this child and give this child some love to survive in this world. That's all I can say about that.
I'm listening to you, Rohan, and here's what I agree with. What he, out of everything he said, this is what I agree with, and not Rohan, but the video. The fact that none of the women asked him to put on protection, first of all, and the second thing is, when he was speaking, it's not just his responsibility; it's both of their responsibility. It's a shared responsibility. So I can agree with him on that. But here's the thing, and I think that it's a negligence on his part, right, to do what he does and then try to absolve himself from any responsibility.
Right.
See, that's where the negligence is. And you know, you are going to have the women, like he said, who will still mess with him afterwards. But does it make it right what he's doing? It doesn't make it right, and it doesn't absolve him from the responsibility he has. Because once a woman says, and this is the thing, once a woman says, no, I'm not going to, you're stuck. And you have to now decide, and clearly from the video, he's in hiding, but you have to decide what you're going to do next. And so you can't really sit there and even if the woman, and I understand what Rohan's saying, because there are women out there that trick you, right, into getting them pregnant. But again, it's your responsibility not to get them pregnant. If you don't want a kid, here's the thing. And I was just having this conversation the other day. The fact that you have unprotected sex, you don't mind having children. Because the minute that you're having unprotected sex, there is a strong possibility she's gonna get pregnant.
Absolutely.
So now you have to decide what do I want to do if she gets pregnant, and you have to be a little bit more. What do you say? For lack of a better word, a little bit more picky in who you're having unprotected sex with. And plan B is not always the best plan.
If it's available.
If it's available. So those are the things you got to worry about.
Imagine this, and Gene, we know this because in working in early infants, childhood development, and prenatal. Just realize that also that mother's not promised to make it past that pregnancy.
Yeah.
What happens to that child? You still on that same I ain't had this baby. This ain't what I want. This baby go to. You mean to tell me you gonna let your listen? This is hard, man. It's one thing to be in a battle with a mom and with her family or with that, but it's another thing just to, it rubs me to just the idea to say, fuck these kids. But literally, that's what I feel like is like, fuck these kids, man. That was that, man. Fuck these kids. I don't care nothing about them. I don't care anything at all. And the problem, it bothers me because they're not just some kids. They are you. They are you, my brother.
Yeah, again, sex is complicated. And sex, many people, my mom told me, if you have sex, be prepared to have a baby. She told me that from a kid. My dad wasn't around that much. And I'm always having sex and say, man, when these chicks come over, I don't know your name. She don't tell me to put on a condom. Am I going to get her pregnant? Because my mom always told me from early, if you sleep with these girls and they can get pregnant, right? So is it culture? Is it what? Is it nature? Is it that we're like the lizards, those iguanas outside and the lizards? Maybe that's how we are, but we're all dressed up in clothing. Who knows what it is? But what we do know, here's what we know. We know that the foster care homes are overloaded. The belts, the belts is real tight because there's so many kids there that are unwanted. That we know. We know that the government is putting laws because government is paying for that. Well, we're paying for it and the government pays for it. And the government is putting laws to restrict people from doing abortions. Are they making you responsible? Are they taking away the pill so that way you can't go take a pill? Because we know they're having sex, right? We know that. But what's the goal here? Something has shifted. And I don't know what's the overall plan, but they're having sex. They can't do abortion in some states. I like to, we could talk about that too. What's going on here? Is it one group of people? Is it the what they call the minority? I don't know. Food for thought.
Ron, you said something that I just don't agree with. Sex isn't complicated. It's raising that kid that comes afterward that gets complicated. It's the relationship you have with the person you're sleeping with that gets complicated. But the sex is very easy. Anybody can.
Well, you got right. Yes, yeah.
So there's no the complication comes in the what next. And if you're not willing to step up, then it gets extra complicated.
You know what? It's not so much what the guys said. It's what he's not saying. So, and I think just the fact that this is making the rounds on social media and it's popular and all the other stuff, he's getting this little 15 minutes or 15 seconds of fame. What he's not saying, and what we are saying, the fact that we making it popular, is Black lives don't matter. And if your father say it don't matter, then maybe it don't, because that narrative starts with the father. And so what he's saying so much of is what I think we need to articulate better on why he shouldn't have been saying it in the first place. You understand? And somebody really should have boarded his ass. But you understand?
Well, let me tell you, now that you said that brought, as soon as everybody was talking, this is what the first thing came to my mind. That right, and you said it prior, but it's this. I was thinking to myself, he's saying all this shit hot and heavy, right?
Mm-hmm.
He don't got no father. He can't. There's no way that you have any relationship or any idea of what that feels like, negative or positive.
Mm-hmm.
You would get on a place and do that public, do that kind of, say that kind of thing, because maybe he's just dealing with that hurt of not having a father. And so these kids don't need to have no father either. And so we're looking at this cycle of hurt people hurting people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that here,
I can't speak. First of all, if you ask me, out of the three who's gonna get sacrificed, his head gonna roll first. Because my obligation as a man, and particularly a man in society, is to protect that woman and that child. You understand? And so I'm not even trying to understand why you saying it. Pop, you understand what I'm saying? Because you got an obligation to protect and provide, not for them children first, really supposed to be providing for them, that women first. And the problem with it is, what we're trying to do is, vicariously, I think we do it, we just start to decide and try to get some understanding of who he is. Guess what, right? To try to maybe define who we are. Because I'm like, I don't have no understanding for that. That is pure intentional ignorance right now. There's no understanding. There's nothing logical or intelligent what that man said. His motivation ain't even right. You understand? But he just wanted the trend. You understand? But I'm like, and make him pay for it. You understand? And that's what we're supposed to have been doing. And so Trick Daddy's supposed to make him pay for it. Every guy, and particularly every black guy on social media, supposed to make him pay for it. The next time he say something, it'll be an apology, but it'll never be that. I'm like, man, you talking tough. And what make you think you can talk, you understand, about our community like that when we fighting two wars? You understand what it is? We're fighting two wars. We're fighting the genocidal war on black on black crime, for the lack of a better terminology.
Right.
And then we fighting the Black Lives Matter for the police. And so what he's saying, he's just giving further validation, saying, see, you understand? So the cops saying, see, yeah, you guys not worth nothing. The racists are saying, see, you guys aren't. And so what he's saying, I'm like, man, what he's saying have so many deep implications that what I'm trying to say, point blank, it shouldn't even be tolerated. I would never look at nothing like that. You understand? I'm like, I can't look at anything like that. But if I did, I'm like, listen, well, if anything, what you call justifiable genocide in our community, I'm like, nobody will miss you, man. Because if nobody's life don't matter, start with you first, partner. Them children innocent, God got them. Them women, you're supposed to protect them. So technically, this dude is worthless. And I have never seen such a worthless guy until I just saw that guy right there. And I would never call another black man worthless, but that's the most worthless black man I ever seen in my life. And that's what your guy meant by his I think it was Frederick Douglass, or I can't remember exactly what it is, when he said to grow children or repair broken men. That's the most brokenest man I ever seen in my life. That's a great example of that. So now, not only is he a mascot of child support, now he's the mascot of broken men too.
And I think that's what it is. When you speak like that, you just have to think about, you must feel awful about yourself. Because you don't have anything valuable to bring to the table. And so when you don't have anything valuable to the table, you just say anything just to be heard. And I think that's what's going on with this guy. He doesn't really have anything valuable. No one, to be honest with you, if he never came out and said this, no one would ever care about him.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
This is what people are caring about. So, you don't really have anything substantial to bring. So you bring anything and hope that you get the response you're getting.
Well, he's going to get a response because he knows that there's a majority of men and fathers out here who think that's ludicrous. What you're saying sounds stupid. It sounds idiotic, right? So you're going to get, what you're looking for is to get the low-hanging fruit people to ride with, to agree with him in this idea that he's talking about. And I have said what he said many times in giving an example of the kinds of dudes that are out there who are poisoning our fatherhood. They're the ones who ultimately is, when we are struggling and trying to work out relationships with moms and trying to build a relationship with kids, it's fellas like him and I think you hit it right on the headline, that will get all of the light of fatherhood, right? And it will be described that here's an example of what fatherhood looks like. Not any positive things that we're talking about and trying to show. He's going to be the one that everyone's going to, but I think that's why our culture's like that. Anything negative, we got to take. We pump that up more than anything. We highlight, we talk about it, we do that. And the reason why I wanted to bring this on tonight is for that reason, for us to have a way to say, our topic was, you're not my daddy. And that's what he needs. That's what this man needs to get later. You're not my daddy. This topic was really like looking at stepkids telling the stepdad, you're not my daddy type of business. But when I seen this is the kind of thing we talk about, what he needs, what he gets and what he should get, is recognize that you don't even get an opportunity to be anybody's daddy. And people may look at that like, oh, it doesn't matter, but it does. You can be young, tenderoni, muscle man, machismo, all that. But later, you begin to see as you get older and wiser, as I'm seeing with many older fathers that I come in contact with. Elder Thomas talked about it last week, just to go spend the time with his son, to be two men together. Well, you ain't gonna get that because the kid gonna tell you, you ain't my daddy.
Well, a quick one. We talk about young and dumb. He mentioned that he didn't know about vasectomy. What else did he didn't know? What kind of training did he get? He says, I just want to know about vasectomy in this medium. What kind of training did he get? Maybe his crew, hey man, I got 7 baby moms over there, man. I got 8 baby moms down in Broward there. You got to look at his circle. Who does he roll with? It's complex because of people's mindsets, of people's beliefs, and I'm hoping that the moms didn't just go there to get a baby, because let's keep it real. Some folks have babies for babies. My girl got a baby. Hey, ain't you gonna get a baby too? There's just so much stuff involved, man.
Yeah, but Rohan, you say that, but I think it's a trophy. The one he speaks, right? And it doesn't matter for me. It didn't matter what the women did in life. I don't care that one has money, one didn't have money, one has a great job, one didn't have. The end result is you got 7 women pregnant, you're supposed to be a father, you don't want to be a father. Bottom line, right? So it's almost as if he's showing off, yeah, I got 7 baby mamas, and this is who they are. So I can get any woman I want to. Then he highlights the fact that women are going to hear this and still sleep with me. So it's kind of like he's presenting himself to be like, yo, I can get you women. It don't matter. And these are the type of women I get. So I'll still get women regardless. And so, you know, for me, it's more of a trophy base than anything else. Like I said, just to highlight himself and for him to be the talk of the town.
And this is a big thing we've been talking about recently that's been going around is the idea of masculinity. He thinks that this is and again, this is why he will never be a father. He will only be a man. I hold it very dear and true to be a father compared to being a man. To be a father, you must be a man, but you can't be you can be a man and you may never ever be a father. And you can have 20 kids, but you'll never be a father. You know, and he's a person at this point in that, and what I do hope is he sees this enough that it has an effect and is conscious of who he is, comes in and say, I gotta come back and correct this. I gotta come back and let me go correct and fix this because this is not who I'm supposed to be as a man.
Me personally, I don't want to waste another second on that Negro. I see him as a drive-by shooter. I mean, literally, I value him literally like a drive-by shooter. I don't, and that's where I'm at. So I end that. I mean, just let life do what it's gonna do to him. And
light burn.
But now, and I tell you, I'm not gonna give another second to that Negro, not one more second, because now I'm gonna start focus on what we're supposed to be focusing on as fathers, and that's our children, and getting a better understanding for them as children. And so they can't be, you know, they can avoid becoming broken men like this particular dude. He loves his brokenness. And so that's why I'm gonna talk. I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to fix somebody who pride themselves on being broken. It's one thing to be broke, but it's another thing to be broken. You could be broken, not broken. You understand? But he chose brokenness and he prided himself on it. He found the market for it. And so by all means, enjoy your brokenness. But when it comes to these children, and you're talking about the stepfather relationships, in which all of them, I thank God that he will bless every last one of them with phenomenal stepfathers. Just like I'm a phenomenal stepfather. Just about most of you guys on here are either phenomenal fathers or phenomenal stepfathers, phenomenal surrogate fathers. That's what I want to talk about when it comes to You're Not My Dad. Because that's the real issue. I think that's the real boogeyman when it comes to being a surrogate father or being a stepfather, because that's the thing you brace yourself for. That's a father's worst nightmare. That's the real topic for me, not that Negro. And so I'm going to chalk him up as a drive-by shooter and call it a day, because that's how valuable everything he said was the equivalent of a drive-by. That's it. It had no value. None.
I agree, and let's move on from it now. I agree with that. Listen, I can't. You said it in such a way that I think that is important, because we're gonna spend all the time talking about him and not really talk about something that people
need to hear
and be beneficial to them. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And so, yeah, that was the boogeyman for me. I think all of us, and I think all of us didn't share that part when you're raising children, because what you're talking about, a reconditioning and trying to love something, love a child that's not yours. And so when you put that work in, and it's not a one-day thing, it's not a one-year thing, but you spend a lot of time trying to create that bond. And when you do create that bond, I think it's in the back of your mind. One day that child may say, you're not my daddy, for whatever retaliation or rebellion might come about. And how would you prepare yourself to deal with that? I mean, as a stepfather, I did experience it from my stepkid, the least likely kid. And I understood why I experienced it, because there was a chastisement moment I had in the family where, I would chastise my kids because my kids are my kids. So it's like no holds barred. I know exactly how to chastise my kids. But I think because they saw me chastise my kid, they just assumed like, oh, I couldn't handle that kind of chastisement. And so, of course, he wanted to jump ship of having a good stepfather, that I'm just go back to my father. So how I dealt with that was, and this is the thing, because his mom, my wife and her ex, they don't, it's just, they don't have a amicable relationship. So what I did, I said, no, you can't, regardless of good or bad relationship. I think you need to know how to make your good and bad relationships work in your favor. That's the thing about being a wise man. You have to make all of your relationship work. not just the good ones. The bad ones are beneficial too. And so in that particular case, once he said he's not my father, of course, my wife flipped out. And I told her, no, you don't flip out. I said, what we're going to do is we're going to pack him up and send him to his father.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we did was we use his biological father as a discipline so he can have a clear understanding of where he's at and where he can be. You understand? So you can use certain relationship again, his dad, not a terrible guy, whatever case may be, he could have did a little better, but nevertheless, I had to give him a reality check on, okay, this is where you at. And then you got to go ahead. You never really lived with your father, so we can go ahead and give you that opportunity so you can weigh it and really determine where your appreciation should be.
And you said it's in the back of your mind. I don't think you're ever prepared to hear that statement. No matter how much you play it in your head and being like, yo, once it's said, even sometimes it's like you said, it's usually done out of a situation, out of anger. But once it's said, man, it stings, regardless on how prepared you think you are. And I think that it's said that way. It's said to sting. But I think when you start talking about that, when you start talking about kids and them saying that, and what you did, in my opinion, Lightbone, was very right on, because I don't think when you're used to something, right, you never understand what it is to not have it. So once you put someone in a situation where they don't have, they get to the appreciation of having, right? And so by those actions, I think I think it's spot on, because if here's two things. One, you can make them appreciate it in the moment, or you can have them realize it in the long run. And both, for me, both are correct. Appreciating in the moment, meaning, okay, you're gonna go without, and I'm gonna show you the difference. Or in the long run, when they come back as adults, they make that realization that, yo, my actual parent wasn't there for me as much as you were. You're the reason I am the person I am today, and I appreciate that. So it comes in two folds. And I think that, when you're looking at kids, it's I hate to say that, but sometimes it's the long game, and sometimes you have the opportunity for the short game. But you have to decide which one it's going to be.
Well, I want to come back. I want to go to a place that I think about happens a lot between kids, their dads, and their moms. And this also, I think, happens between dads and stepdads. A kid may not be saying this out of being vicious. They may be saying it also out of loyalty, or out of a place of being that they really want they are having too much fun with you. You're being too much of the model that they want their dad to be. And that's a very odd place for a child to be in, to feel like, yo, this person is doing more for me than actually my dad. And it's just kind of like saying that, and without the kind of conversations and the kind of time that we're able to share with with the kids to talk about this, the kids will automatically respond like, yo, I gotta show loyalty to my dad. You ain't my dad. Even though you ain't did nothing to him for him to even have an attitude, other than I know who my dad is, and I want my dad. And again, now I'm thinking of these places where there's dads that's present and they know, and they have this idea. He may not be the best dad, might not come around, but they have a vocal point to pinpoint dad at, compared to no dad at all, or no one being there. Stepdads knows, then you talk about discipline and those things, whatever. And sometimes those kids are much more, I believe that kids are much more appreciative about what they don't have. And a part of that is also how mom plays what they don't have, and how mom plays it. Because that's where the problem really comes sometimes, in that idea of kid telling you ain't their dad. Okay.
Well, when you're saying that, Ron, it brings me to the mind of parents who adopt also. Mm-hmm. And the fear that the child's going to want to find their biological parent. And even in that sense, you know, you're like one day you're gonna want to search for that person, and it's an inadequate feeling, because you're like, I did all this, I poured this all into you, and you still want to go look for someone who didn't even care, or who you know what I'm saying? So right. I think regardless on the situation, it stings the same. Because again, a foster kid or a step kid who comes to you and says, hey, look, you know what? You've been there, you're a great parent, but I just want to be with my dad, right? You're still gonna be like, well, yo, was I not good enough? What are you missing that I couldn't give you?
And that was that person. They got some stuff they need to work out and understand just the bond that listen. I like to use this example more than anything else. People who have lost their dads to death. That though, you know, we take it very lightly and it goes by. Well, you know, when we're talking about this issue of dads not having dad, but I know quite a few people who don't have their dad because their dads died, and what ends up happening with either parent has died. What ends up happening, they get into a place where they feel some issue with. You got to be mindful to talk about mom and dad around them, because that triggers them, and right. All of these things begin to happen. And so here you are talking about my dad don't even want to be with me. I'm so tired of this, and they just think I wish I could even see or touch or even have anything with my dad again. At least you got an opportunity to go look for him. I hate him. I don't want to ever be with him, involved with him again. And again, the situations are different, but in that microcosm that we work in the same area, is going to set people off and trigger them and lead to some tipping points of things that will come into play. And so we have to really, you know, sometimes we have to think about, you know, is not monolithic on how dads are or not. It's individualized by all kinds of people in different ways, you know.
To add to that, you're not my daddy. I'm a divorcee, and my children's my children's mom is remarried. And one of the things I say,
you mean your ex-wife? You mean your ex-wife?
My ex-wife, yeah, she's remarried.
Yeah, I mean, you make it like she's not your ex-wife. She's ex-wife, dog. You know, you can run there, you try to run that. Listen, you say you're a divorced dad. I mean, your wife is your ex-wife. So you can just call her ex-wife.
Okay, yeah, right, okay. So
we got a lot of different dads on here. I just want to make everybody clear, because some of these dudes ain't never been married to their baby mamas or the children.
All righty, okay.
You want to make sure that you made the choice to be with her initially, right?
Yes, this is true. So
I'm just fooling with you.
Listen, it's a journey, you know, a girlfriend and wife and divorce. It's a journey. I think every male should, well, not every male should walk, but it's a journey. Well, here's one of the things my kids say to me. I said, how things going, girls? Oh, you know, how things going? What they say to me? Oh, my stepdaddy he's never here. He's never there. I'm like, oh.
See this.
They didn't want him to share the story.
The stepdad put the juices on your cable, doc.
Right. So anyway,
talk about him.
Yeah. So I asked this because as a father advocate. So I said, okay. Then the strange part now is when they say to me, he wants, mom tells us to call him Mr. Brown. I'm like, what? Well, he wants to be addressed as Mr. Brown. Do not call him by his first name. Call him as Mr. So I said, what's the problem? And the child says to me, well, he doesn't teach us anything. We don't see him. What kind of stepfather is this? I'm like, what? So guys, the reason I'm saying this to you, those children or teenagers, they're watching you as a stepfather. He don't teach us anything. He wants us to call him Mr. such and such. He wants to respect, but he doesn't want to earn it. And I'm listening, I'm like, wow, listen to these young girls talk, because they are watching you. They see me when they're time with me, but they're watching you even when you're a stepdad. You know, I want that respect. Don't call, you know, I want that respect. Because some guys are like that. You know, they don't get respect on the street, but they want respect at their home. I mean, you know, and I always say, you have to respect yourself. When I go to the court and they tell me all kind of stuff, I told the lady, I respect myself. You don't make that determination. I don't need you to respect me, because then if I'm looking for people to respect me, I'm going to always go next door. Do you respect me? Oh, by the way, do you respect me? You know what? The boss didn't respect me, so I quit the job. And you're always looking for somebody to respect you. You have to respect yourself first. So I'm just saying that that child is watching you, whether you're a stepdad, whether you're the father, the child is watching you because there are expectations of a stepfather and there are expectations of a father. You know, food for thought.
But Rohan, you know what you just did? You just gave another example of the "you're not my daddy," because sometimes it's the person who's in the role who says, "I'm not your daddy, and I'm not here for you. I'm here just for your mom." And I don't want to play any, I'm not going to play any role of being a dad because that's not what I'm here for. And so in this case, with the story you shared, I think that's what it is. I'm not here for these kids. They got a daddy.
They got a daddy.
Go to your daddy and do it. You know, you got someone to call daddy. I'm here and I'm going to be with your mom and I'm going to do what I handle. I'm going to handle that with your mom. It's like almost as if to say, I'm just buying time till you guys leave this house so me and your mom can actually be together.
Here we go. Excellent point.
That's interesting, Rohan. You got to watch that out, though. You got to tighten that up.
That's a great point LJ just brought up. I mean, J-Rob just brought up because, yeah, it does make a difference. At what point you are the stepfather. And at that particular point, he became the stepfather to teenagers. When I became a stepfather, they were still adolescent kids. They were like 8 and 10. You understand? And so I still had time to build that particular bond. But without the illusion, without the illusion that that's, because what I had to understand too, that's my dad. You understand? And I understood that I could never get that particular status because that ownership of them being my daddy, that's something that I don't care if I treat them perfectly or whatever. It will never happen because that ownership of them, that being their daddy, no matter good, bad, or indifferent, it's almost the equivalent of it. It's the exact equivalent of how men, of a marriage, how men's supposed to love women, women's supposed to love men. And so children tend to take that matrimonial, that oath when it comes to their parents. What's theirs is theirs. And so there's no competing against that anyway. And even if the father's not there, then the worst father to compete against is, or to compete with, is the fantasy father. Because now a father's not there, that child is in a relationship with a perfect person they never seen. And so now everything they make that man to be, he is, and you got to compete against it. Because that absent father can do no wrong until they have a real factual or actual relationship with him to find out that he has wrongs too. But that's one of the hardest things to be in a relationship with a fantasy father, because that child has to have some type of concept of what their father is and who that parent is, because both parents represent two separate histories. You understand? So instinctively and scientifically, a child is right to want to know their history. So when they're asking to know their parent, they're not just asking them to know something paternal or maternal. They're asking to know their eternal, or yeah, well, I wouldn't say eternal, but their complete history or external history.
You know, I don't want to pass it up by saying I'm giving you your kudos, Rohan, because your kids coming back and telling you that
absolutely
means that they look at you and say, why is he nothing like you? You see what I'm saying? This is how a daddy should be, and this guy who's supposed to be a daddy is not the same. And so you have to, I want to just say, good job on that, because a lot of times the comparisons aren't that great.
But I'm going to say this: look at that learned behavior, and that's what we talk about, the importance of our roles. If your daughters was able to do this analyzation and results of how their stepdad is, compare and contrast with you, this is also what will help them when they become young ladies and the type of men they will look for and want to be. It's great that they got a stepdad who's like that and they have you, because now they can look at this and their environment with men, and the men that who are the main learners, the teachers of their development. They can say, oh, look, do I want a man like my mom had? Or do I want to have a man like my dad? My mom had my dad, but obviously there's some point that they didn't get along at some point. So it must be my dad in a certain way, my mom a certain way. And then now my mom's with another person who's a way that I feel different about, but they're together and they're doing whatever they, and again, kids start to weave and navigate through that. And this is when you start saying that my kids are going to be okay. A lot of people worry about their kids, like, oh, they're going to go off the car. They're going to go off the car. Oh, I'm so nervous. You should be, if you're not providing what you got giving them, Rohan. If you're not giving them this kind of, this type of teaching that doesn't just happen at the schoolhouse, it happens in the home. Self-actualization that really occurs for them, then guess what? You're right. You better be nervous because they're going to go there and say, oh, something shiny. Let me put it in my mouth. Mercury.
Yep. You know, and to say to add to that, I don't want to take up the topic here, but I say this to all fathers. You know, Ron had said, I think Ron said it years ago. Many people say to me, man, oh, you don't have a girlfriend, man. Why didn't you find another female? Well, what's up? Get some sugar. I do get sugar, but not consistently. Well, anyways, so I just want to add, if you're putting the time for your father, hey, focus here, please. All right, there you go.
You don't want to talk about sugar that you're getting. Somebody telling us to focus.
This is true. All right. So you gotta put the time into the children. And mind you, things do happen, but just do your part. And that's one of the things why no matter what happened with me and along my journey, I always try to find time for the fatherhood because it has taught me so much. And the challenges that we face every day, you still got to make that time for those kids. A text, email, a hi, a hug, have a great day today. You know, there's always that something going on, but focus on the kids. That's what I just wanted to add.
Okay. And guess what? We should have been highlighting you instead of highlighting that buster that we was talking about earlier, because you are like a great example of this fatherhood thing that we're kind of talking about, of the case study of You're Not My Daddy.
But Ron, I'm glad you brought him to the table. Here's why.
I know. I mean, that's what the purpose was. That, but it was for us to get to this, and it's really important that we're getting to this, because this is the important part that people really need to hear, because this is sensational, this that we sometimes glamorize over. People right now doing like this when we talking right now, they putting their hands in their ears, but they don't want to hear this good knowledge. You know, they don't want to hear the stuff that will really, that takes some of your own accountability. You know, Ron, you haven't did this based on I'm just saying it was her fault and I'm great. You have took accountability, you took trainings, you have did the kind of things that you have took probably more training than any dad I know.
But I must say this though.
Who hasn't been, and you took more training than any dad I know who hasn't been what is it, mandated. You took more intellectual learning, developmental things to be a better father than most fathers that I know.
So let me respond to you guys so you guys understand what I talk about culture. I'm constantly told that what am I told? Oh, you're trying to do all this fatherhood thing and so forth. I need the money. And I want to bring that to you guys. There are people out there who just want the money. They don't want you to be a father. Go get the money. Give me the money so I can live the lifestyle. So being a father, sometimes you gotta, okay, if I find a second job, well, that's gonna give me more money to fuel your lifestyle. You know, they go down by the beach and have breakfast with the people that they don't have breakfast with every day. You know, that kind of lifestyle and post on social media. But as a father, you have to, it's gonna boil down to time versus money. And I'd rather give the time than the money. It's just that simple.
But listen, I'm continuing to offer this dynamic that, you know, the young people are looking for a new relationship dynamic to get into, is that, listen, if they are making means for our women to make the money, man, you should be, listen, that Rihanna picture of Rihanna and ASAP Rocky, that model, that picture is a great model for us to be established into. Because if they're not going to let us get the money as the fathers, let us take care of our households. Let us take care of our children and raise them, because the school system not doing a good job. So at least if we doing most of that, and I know a dad right now, that's all he does. I know this dad that he homeschool his kids. He spends majority of his time with his kids. His woman goes out and gets all the money and does all those things because the system is set up for her to get all that.
True.
And he's able to make sure their home is good. So I'm saying that's a theory for some of us who looking for a new way to make this work. That might be the way to make it work. Because guess what? If you're the leader in your house, forget the leader being anywhere else because it don't matter. If your kids respect you and your wife respect you as being the leader of your house, it don't matter if the boss respect you or this person, that person, because none of that matters because, they come and go. At any moment, they could be gone. But your family never, and that's what we sometimes say, we too busy wanting to be the leader out in the world and not in our home. And then that leaves our home vulnerable for other people to take over and be the leaders of our home.
Oh,
right,
Ron, you saying that gave me another, I feel like Lightborn tonight. It gave me another crux to this "you're not my daddy," right? Because you can be present in the home and be the father of the child, but without spending that quality time, without pouring into them, and you're too busy out there, like you said, trying to be the leader of everybody else. You're too busy to be a daddy. And so that child, when it gets to a certain age, they'll be like, "You're not my daddy. Oh, you are my father, but you're not my daddy."
Mm-hmm.
I think that gives another little piece to "you're not my daddy" and another way to look at it.
Wow. We had a lawyer recently. A lawyer was convicted of murder. I was watching the case, and it was touching because a wife was killed and a son was killed. And I talk about greed. Greed. Well, greed meaning wanting more. Because you have missed more and you have missed more. And I look at that and I'm like, was it really worth it, man? Was it really worth it? I wasn't there, so I can't say he did the crime or not. But your son is dead, your wife is dead. Was it really worth it? You're trying to get that respect out there in that law firm and robbing your clients and all about that money. And at the end of the day, you lose your son, you lose your wife. We really have to take into consideration what is our values and how important family is, because now he's gone to jail. Apparently he got life. The other son can't even have a relationship with you too tough, so that we need the money, yes, and we needed to pay the bills, but sometimes we got to find a balance, man. We got to.
Well, Rohan, just to talk about it, I mean, most people may know what that story is, but everybody in that family had killed somebody. So, I mean, not literally killed them, but had been affiliated with some person being killed. Yeah. Every member of their family. That's a strange dynamic, my man. The brother who was killed, a girl died on the boat with him. The brother who alive, a guy died in the car with him. Oh, you start saying, death is following y'all. But you know why? Because dad wasn't, just like you said, dad wasn't leading the family. He was out here trying to lead some law firm. He trying to make, but you got to make sure home is good first. Mm-hmm. And then you can do the other thing.
I heard from a lawyer, as a serial entrepreneur, I'm sorry, the lawyer is not here, Jasper, he said to me, what's the first thing you need to do when you start a business? And everyone in the room guessed, borrow a loan and go to class. And that lawyer said, I never forget that guy. He said, you gotta be careful who you choose to be your partner. And I said to him, what are you talking about? He says, all of you guys are in business. I said, I don't have a business. He says, of course, you pay your light bill, you pay your water bill, you buy gas, you buy food. He says, everything you do, money is involved. You may not have a registered business, but technically you have a business because you're using money. And I never forget that guy. I'm like, man, ain't that something? Hey, you want to talk about our business? How about divorce? Divorce is another business right there too. So we just gotta be that example. I watched it. I saw the guy talk. He mentioned that he lied. And look, there's another thing too. I learned from that, watching that. When you lie, you better have a better lie because you can only lie so much. He lied to the cops, then he lied again, and he lied. And then one point he said, shit, I can't lie no more. Then he said, man, I lied about that part. And I'm like, man, Ain't that something? You can only lie so much.
Well, I think Rohan, you I want to make sure I want to make sure you got a clear-cut understanding of who this guy you're talking about. You got to understand this guy killed his own family. He killed his family. Nobody else killed him.
Yes, he did.
And so I don't have no understanding for that. I can't put no rationale on an irrational person.
But the reason I'm bringing him up, we know he's desperate, and we know that desperate people do desperate things.
What was he desperate?
I don't think he was desperate.
What was he desperate for?
He was rich.
I don't know if you guys were watching.
Of being rich, and he came from a
Exactly.
family.
Exactly.
Listen,
they said, listen. I every night, because I don't have cable no more, and when I have to watch TV, I have to watch the stations that come through the app.
Through the app.
And most of the night, most of them stations is having the crime shows. And a man said on there, he said people do crimes for two reasons. Two crimes and murders happen for two. One is for greed, right? And one is for like the show. Like they one, they're being greedy, they need the money, and the other one is because they're angry and they lose it. But then I thought to myself, he must be talking about white people doing crimes, because he left out the reason why most black people do crimes is because of poverty.
But that's greed, same way. That's the same greed.
It was different, because when you go and already got money, and you got stuff already, and you kill somebody to get their money, that's not poverty. You're not impoverished. When you don't got no food to eat, and you go down and stick some ribs and some macaroni and cheese in your clothes and get that charge, that's hungry. That's poverty. You ain't going there. You ain't going there and you're not. Look, you think the average drug boy sell drugs because it's fun? No, he sell to get a little bit of money so they can have a little bit of something in the house to eat. So he can buy himself a decent pair of tennis shoes or something like that just to have what everybody else has. That's not greed. Now later on, if you become the big boy, it becomes greed. He got too much. But I think that idea of, passion and greed, and being money and these are, really good ways, but we sometimes forget that for us in our community, sometimes the crime that we commit sometimes is a necessity. Because if I'm hungry, I might not hit nobody over the head, but I may do something to go get something to eat. Trust me, Jack.
But you know what you said, a greater example to Rohan's point. I think you brought up a bad example, Rohan, but a great example that happened in your own backyard. And that's the young man who was going through the divorce. Matter of fact, he was rich too. And so he was going, right down in the penthouse.
Right, in the penthouse.
In the penthouse, going through the divorce. And this ain't the first time, because that just happened a year or 2 years ago, almost the same scenario. And so he was going through divorce. And remember, I told you, men usually have a better relationship and a connection to women than they do to our children. We have to actually establish, that's the importance of fatherhood, because you got to build that connection to your children. People think it's going to automatically happen. I'm like, how? How? You don't really have no, what they call it, scientific connection to that child until you start to actually build a scientific relationship with that child. Until then, you just have a concept of what that would be like, but no real sacrifice, right? And so with this particular guy, he used the child as leverage. And I guess because his wife or ex-wife was getting the best of the divorce, he just felt like, oh, okay, you know what? Then I'll make her suffer another way. And what he do? He killed himself and his 3-year-old child. Mm-hmm. You understand? In the passion to get back. So he felt like, you know what? And I'm going to be honest with you, as men, and unfortunately, I hate to say I can relate, because it's hard to say, oh, I can relate to a passion, especially something that atrocious. But I'm like, listen, I'm an individual. I have feelings too. Now, would I allow myself to go that far? No. Right. You understand? I have to make that sacrifice. I got to eat that. I got to take what the kids say. I got to take that L. Mm-hmm. But men, I'm talking about instinctively. I'm like, listen, you know that I'm better off taking care of that that woman and being with that woman and having a better relationship with that woman than I am with this child. So the child becomes the sacrificial mule just to get back at that woman. And that's exactly what happened in that penthouse down there. And I think in Coconut Grove somewhere.
In Coconut Grove. And you know, Lionel brings up a very valid point of one of the true reasons why we want to have this type of conversation. Because Lionel was very transparent in what he just said, people say, no, I wouldn't do that. And it'd be the nicest guys who say they never would do that, who will do it. And you say, well, how the heck he do it? Because he never had an opportunity to vocalize it, to hear himself say it. He only heard it in his mind. And when you in your mind, you don't have, there's no opportunity to think of someone else saying, you do what? And then for it to snap back on you to say, oh shit, did I say I kill her? Shit, man, you know, now you got to think about it. In your mind, you don't get no stop sign. You don't get no yield sign. That shit go, I kill her. And then matter of fact, just reaction, I got the gun, bam, bam. I kill myself, kill the kid, boom. Without ever getting an opportunity. And I think that we talked about this before back in the day when that guy who was the nurse who was dealing with the two other nurses who had killed her and the child that killed her and then went to the other nurse, his ex house, and killed her. Because he never had anybody to kind of like talk that out with.
Right.
He felt like everything was against him. And it not saying to talk it out, he wouldn't do it, but I got a good feeling if he had an opportunity to hear what he was going to do out loud to somebody else and somebody else repeat it, there's a good chance that he would think about, damn, I would do that. But inside your brain,
everything is rational inside your mind.
It's rational. Listen, that's why y'all be shooting up the club, because inside your brain, it just looked too good.
But then again, and now back to the desperation point of what Rohan was talking about. Now use another scenario of, and I've seen about 2 or 3 of these, of the mothers who killed their children. Totally different scenario.
Right.
And this was a white mother. That's the first one I saw. Then I saw a black mother that followed right behind. 2 separate states. But I saw the white mother who got served an eviction notice, which means she was doing the best she can to take care of kids. And once she got that eviction notice became the breaking point, and she felt like there was no other way out. And so she killed she killed 3 of her kids, or she killed all of them. She killed 3 out of the 5 and killed herself. You see the difference?
Yes.
And so those are 2 separate dynamics. Here it is. One feel like that's desperation right there. No way out. They got no money. Did the best she can do. Felt like I failed, and me and my kids about to be homeless, and I'd rather see us dead than homeless.
And guys, I'm glad Lightburn brought that up, because we talk about chronic, we talk about chronic pain. Some people, as Ron mentioned, they're financially chronic. We're talking about, I don't know if that's a better word, but some people, based on the shift of wealth, I don't know if you guys watch the Wall Street and see what's going on, the raise of taxes and insurance, all that's really happening. You're shifting the wealth. And when you shift the wealth, somebody is going to get hurt. I see where kids are depressed in Miami-Dade, and I see all these things. I'm like, these are all happening because of the shift of the wealth. Somebody's getting money, and guess what? These families are hurting, and when they're hurting, their kids are hurting.
Right.
And the teachers have to deal with all these issues. The families have to deal with the issues, and we have parents killing children. And there's an old saying: when everybody's okay, everybody's okay. But in this case, I can tell from now, it's a few that is okay and a bunch that is not okay, and that's what's causing these problems.
Let me jump in there for a quick second. First, fellas, I apologize for getting in late. But something that you were saying previously in relation to talking, and when you hold on to something in your head, you can, as you guys indicate, you can always justify it. And until someone gets you to articulate and talk about what you're going through, what you're thinking, and help you recognize there is a different path, you'll stay down that path. And the vast majority of people never have an opportunity to articulate what they are thinking. That is the significance of sessions. That's the significance of even talking to a friend who's acting up. And if you go down the same path with them, they'll follow through. If you can help them articulate, say what they're doing, man, you can help a person change just like that. When we look at the young lady in Texas who did that killing, when mental health runs through the family, no, everyone's on the same mentally destructive path. No one's taking services. No one is getting any help. Words spoken give you a new path. Words spoken helps you to recognize. And you guys hit that right on the head, man. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And Jay, I hope this is my Jay in here. Jay, that's what we do in session. We push.
I hope it's him too. Yep.
All right, hey, gentlemen. Hey,
Clay, you were right on point. Ron, you're gonna have to go ahead and do the wrap up.
well, listen, I mean, I think that, hey, listen, I love this, how this operates, because we're at the end. Folks, we gotta go. Again, like, share, subscribe us. We'll be here again tomorrow night if you want to come on. The conversation is boyhood to manhood. We'll be talking, continuing this conversation a little bit. Join us next week. We have a brand new topic. And the father, repeat after me. I am.
I am. You're right. Clay.
All right, Jay.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am a man of honor.
I am
a man of honor.
I am.
I am a man of courage.
I am a man of courage.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am a man of respect.
I am a man of respect.
We're almost there.
We can't hear you.
You can't hear me. I say I am.
I am.
I say you are.
You are.
I say we are.
We are.
Championship
Father.
Here we go. That's right.
Thank you, gentlemen. See y'all here. If you come back tomorrow night, I will see you next week. Thank you. And
All right, gentlemen. Everybody take care and stay safe.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate
Appreciate your time.
God
Thank you.
bless.